Imagine living in a room full of darkness. You're not able to see and view what is going on around you and who enters and leaves the room. This scenario is very similar to a common problem that many people faced around the world in the year 1996 and many years after this. Throughout this video, we are going to explore the question, what's the difference between genetically modified food and regular food, and how does it have an impact on nutrition?
According to organicsworkup.org, genetically modified foods was introduced all over the world in the year 1996. It was introduced into our world unknowingly. This means that during that time, genetically modified products did not have labels, which caused people to not know much about the history and behind-the-scenes story of what they were eating. Now, let's go back to the original scenario, where you are back in a room where it's pitch black. This scenario is very similar to the problem of genetically modified foods, because just like we cannot see anything in a coal black room, we are not able to identify if a food is genetically modified or if it's organic material. Although this scenario is a little bit of an exaggeration, it clearly stresses and it states how major the problem of genetically modified food has gotten, and why it is important to discuss. In 2002, labeling genetically modified foods was required in Australia and some parts of Eurasia. In 2003, US required labeling trans fat but not genetically modified. In 2004, labeling genetically modified food was required in parts of South America, Australia, and Eurasia. In 2004, US made labeling food allergens required. Some GMOs are used to create insecticides in a plant and withstand weed-killing materials. By 2012, most of Eurasia, some parts of Africa, and South America began to require food labeling for genetically modified food. It is still not required to label genetically modified food in the USA. To add, based on California's Department of Food and Agriculture, 70% of the processed foods in America's supermarkets include genetically engineered materials. And it is such a shocker that it is not required for these materials to be labeled.
So far we have just been blabbering about the history of genetically modified foods, but we never talked about how it is bad for you and the cons of consuming it. The three main side effects from eating genetically modified products are allergies, environmental damage, and cancer. The long-term effects of eating GMO foods, like genetically engineered corn, are mammary tumors, kidney and liver damage. The majority of GMO foods are able to produce their own pesticides. According to the NIH, the health effects of pesticides are still not well understood. Potential effects include cancer and damage to the nervous, endocrine, and reproductive systems. GMOs are often engineered to be more resistant to pesticides or produce pesticides themselves. Go.
Now that we know a little bit about the history of genetically engineered products and the disadvantages of consuming them, let's learn about why genetically altered food got introduced into our world. Most of the GMO crops grown today were developed to help farmers prevent crops and food loss and control weeds. Most existing genetically modified crops have been developed to improve yield through the introduction of resistance to plant disease or of increased tolerance of herbicides. GMO foods can also allow for reduction in food prices through improved yields and reliability. We recently visited a farm in Waco, Texas, which has truly had a major impact not only on my life, but on the life of my peers as well. One cool takeaway I had from the farm was that 4 apples in our modern world is equivalent to a nutritional value of 1 apple in 1985. This is just one example that proves how genetically modified products have really impacted the nutrition value of items. At the farm, we learned that farmers reduce their use of tills and other chemical products to ensure their products are organic. Even in the purifying and cleansing process, the farmers make sure to reduce the amount of chemicals they use to keep their food natural. Overall, they make sure everything in their farm is not contaminated with chemicals and is naturally grown.
Although many people believe that there is less hope to solve this problem, but actually we can do a lot to make a change. Although it is still not required to label genetically modified products in every country, we can still follow different measures to help us be more safe and reduce the amount of refined products that we consume.
In addition, we can also stop consuming genetically modified food by directly ordering and eating products from local farmers and eating food that has been locally grown. If we are very serious about making a big impact in our community, we can even start a small farm or a community garden, so we can serve our community in a significant way by giving them naturally grown food. If we don't have access to a local farm and don't have the materials or time to actually start a natural community garden, we can do our best to make sure the products we shop for have a non-GMO or organic label. We can also be more careful with our choices at the grocery store and ask trusted adults or officials about which products are the right take and which ones are not genetically modified. We can ask local grocery store managers, dietitians, or people with other food-related careers about which choices are right to make.
After I heard all of this, I was really astonished at the way that our world is not accurate in their products and how they are not serious about making a change in this. This has been going on for a couple of years, and yet there still isn't a way to ensure that our products are separately labeled for whether they are organic or genetically modified. The options are endless, as there are many ways we can save the world from genetically modified food. Together we can make a change in this world, but it requires the support of each and every one of you. Thank you.